I am here with Jeff Bochsler today with Guaranteed Rate. We are going to be discussing a new program to assist first-time homebuyers with their down payments. This is a program that the state offered about a year ago, wasn't it?
You got it. Yep.
The statistic I heard is that the money was gone in 11 days.
Yes, you're correct.
So we are really pleased that the state has decided to assist our first-time homebuyers once again by providing down payment assistance. So if Jeff, this is pretty new to both of us, but I know you've really dug in and looked at some of the nuances of this. So do you want to just explain what is this program and who does it benefit?
Yeah, great. And my apologies to all listening in. I was supposed to get Lynda a few more details. So she's going to learn as we go, which hopefully makes it even more authentic to all of us as we're working through it. But the California Dream for All shared appreciation program, the whole focus is on helping first-time home buyers achieve the goal of home ownership in a sustainable way from the state perspective, from a budget perspective, and for the buyer perspective. Okay, so it's not a grant program. Okay, it's a shared appreciation, meaning the state and you are going in together on purchasing a property. As the property values go up, which California properties definitely do over time, there are moments, right? Anything of value goes up and down over time. But over the span of time, values tend to appreciate quite nicely in California. That allows the state to share in the appreciation of that growth in actual dollar terms, and allows you to experience the growth as a first-time homebuyer that you might not get to experience otherwise. Meaning, if you didn't have the help of the state through the shared appreciation program, you would be left renting, and being a renter, then you are not able to experience the benefits of homeownership, which one of them being fantastic growth of your assets, your dollars, your net worth. And millions of times over in California, people have become millionaires because of their real estate holding the house they own. And California wants to make it more accessible for more people. And so last year, it was a huge success. They set aside $300 million. And like Lynda said, it was gone in 11 days. The problem that they found with this is those that knew about this early were able to plan, prepare, and get all their ducks in a line to then, once the funds were released, lock in their up to $150,000, which it's still the same amount of down payment help as last year. But they were able to get those locked in on day one, which within, a short period of time, I think if we do the math, that's 2,000 buyers or more that were able to experience the $150,000 shared appreciation program. So what it actually is, okay? So the state, again, focus is help first-time homebuyers. Next focus, where they've layered in this year, is to help those that don't come from familial backgrounds that have money. Okay, so last year, you could have been a first-time homebuyer and family could have $1 million to their name. This year, that still could be the case, but very unlikely, because they have a second tier of, you must be a first-time homebuyer, which means you haven't owned a home in 3 years or more, that your parents cannot own a home, and they can't have owned a home in the last 7 years. Or you're in the orphan system, like you've been, so that qualifies you as well. But they're trying to get rid of this those that have been left out of the generational wealth experience, they're trying to target those that have been left out in the cold on that front. So if you don't own, this is your first time, great, but then your parents own, then they're going to say sorry, because your parents might be able to take some equity out of their house and help you with the down payment. They might, they benefited real estate in the real estate term. So let's assume you're in that category, right, Lynda? Let's say you are someone that's first-time home buyer, parents have never owned a home or haven't in the last 7 years. You haven't in the last 3 years, okay? They say, we're going to help people up to $150,000 of down payment, which could equate to 20% down for certain areas of the state. That's the max they're going to give, okay? $150,000. So example, let's use is $750,000 purchase price. 20% would be $150,000. Okay, so you want to buy a $750,000 home or a condo, you get $150,000 from this California Dream for All. Now you've got your 20% down, assuming you qualify otherwise. Fantastic, right? Then from then on, and we'll go into a couple of examples. I actually have a couple sides for this because I think the numbers can get really hard to hold in your head. So I'll show that in a second, but I just high level, your let's say 750 turns into $800,000 of value, and now it's $850, and now it's a $900,000 condo or a home value. As that value of your property increases, you're now then able to you own more of the house, and then the state now shares in that appreciation, and that's why it's technically going to be sustainable for the state, because as people then sell these homes over time, the state gets some money back and then can use those dollars to fund the next year. Okay, so over time, they're trying to build out this long portfolio that everyone wins, and we can keep supporting those that haven't been able to get into home ownership. One of the other important things that I think is really important to keep in mind is they want the first-time home buyer, they want the people that haven't had the generational wealth experience yet. They are capping your income. So if you make too much, they're not going to allow you to participate. Okay, so in Santa Barbara, it's $169,000 is the 120% of area median income. Okay, so it's 120% is a max. So that depends on where you live in the state. I think Silicon Valley might be $200,000+ what you can make to still qualify. Okay.
And is that household income?
Household income. Yes. So that's important. So now let's say we keep fitting, right? The important dates, and whereas before, again, they released all these funds, you lock in your loan with Cal HFA on your first mortgage, because that's what connects into your shared appreciation, 150,000, for instance, and you are off and running. Okay. Now they're saying that was crazy and obnoxious, and it didn't serve anyone, and a lot of the groups that they wanted to support didn't get as supported as well. Now they're saying you have the ability to get pre-approved with a approved lender, which I am one of them. There's many across the state, so you can look up on their website. Get pre-approved by April, okay? And then you get into their system, and then they're going to determine who gets these vouchers, okay? So not everyone that gets pre-approved and goes into the system will get a voucher, but that's what you need to do to even find out, okay? Let's assume you get a voucher. You'll have then 60 days to find a property and transact on it. So it is going to be a quick, let's hope there's inventory. That's a big thing that didn't talk about before, but that is a matter to consider right now. That there be a place that you're excited about within that 60-day window once you earn the voucher. So those would be the most important high-level pieces to the program. That's going to be really phenomenal for the right people. And there'll be in Santa Barbara, my concern is it doesn't in South Santa Barbara County, it's not going to fit a lot of people because of the income restriction for what you can buy. It's really hard to qualify for much given that income restriction and given how much our houses and condos are right now. But that said, I still think if you're a first-time home buyer, you should be asking about this with your lender and going through the steps to see if you even do qualify. And if you did qualify, what type of housing would you be able to purchase locally? So your eyes wide open or close the door. But don't leave that money potentially on the table without exploring it.
Jeff, if someone wanted, you gave the example of the $750,000 condo and the $150,000 down. If somebody found an $800,000 condo, could they come up with the additional? Can you combine your own funds? Okay, so you could look at a more expensive property, assuming that your income qualifies you but doesn't disqualify you from the.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, conceivably, you could have someone that has saved. They don't have an asset requirement or limit. So you could, let's say you got a $200,000 inheritance from grandma and grandpa. Okay. Mom and dad don't own anywhere in the US. It's not in California. So clarifier. Mom and dad don't own, haven't owned in the last 7 years. And you've got $200,000 plus a $150,000 here. You got $350,000 and you wanted to buy $1 million place. That's possible. There's nothing in the guidelines that I've been reading that restricts you. I mean, being that it's a voucher system, I have a feeling that they'd probably look at you as a less likely to choose you over someone else. But
so that is a nuance that I wasn't originally. It sounded like they were going to, it was more lottery system. So it actually, they'll be looking, reviewing.
It's hard to tell from what I've been reading. Yeah. I just have to believe like you're going to have, maybe it's a lottery with a review, you know, I don't know. Maybe they don't have the human power that they have to just trust the lottery if you pre-approved, but I have to believe that there's going to be a few.
Well, clearly this is a new program for all of us. I mean, we're all, and there are changes and more restrictions from what we were dealing with last time. But if you qualify under all the guidelines, there really is no downside to someone submitting their application during April, right? The upside potential.
And you can submit before. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I think ultimately, if this is an ongoing thing, so everyone was questioning whether they were going to do this again. Okay, so 300 went fast. Were we going to budget in any money this year? Well, they budgeted 250 million this year. So they seem to like it from the state perspective. And let's say you don't get it this year. Well, now you know the process and you can reapply next year if you haven't bought a place yet and are still renting. So I don't think it's a bad thing to go through the process and get to know it. And so
is it still the same application process with guaranteed rate?
Yes, for pre-approval, correct.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
there's something that's notated on their file that they're applying also for the Dream for All program?
What we'll do is then go through the Cal HFA Dream for All, uh, you know, like submission piece once they're pre-approved. But
And
that's
will
going to be
you
an easy
also,
process. I haven't actually, since this is so brand new, I haven't actually gone through it with somebody yet.
okay,
But I can't imagine that's going to be a lot of effort from the borrower client perspective. So
and will you maybe you haven't even had a chance to think through the
yeah,
process, but will you simultaneously try and pre-qualify our clients through a standard without
yes.
that? Okay, so that worst case scenario, even if they meet all these criteria and they submit in April, if they don't get the down payment assistance, what are their options for purchase without it?
Yeah, and you know how much I love my spreadsheets, but like, and sending to clients is like, I think that brings up a really good point to see like side by side comparisons, because you could also argue that you'd rather not go through the program if you have a decent amount of money for a down payment or could qualify without it. The reason being is that shared appreciation part, right?
Mm.
So if you think you're going to own this home for a good amount of time, um, if you have a chunk of that appreciation wiped away from you over time because you're sharing it with the state, that's a good amount of money that you're giving back to the state on top of the 150 that you're paying them back. Okay, so and that brings up, maybe just given time, trying to keep this within 30 minutes, maybe we jump into the what this looks like
I think that
on
would be really
numbers.
helpful. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
so let's
make it
do that.
tangible.
Let me share my screen. Um, Any chance I can be given controls to share my screen? Because I don't have the ability right now.
Mariah, is that you? I think she's got.
I think that is more.
Okay. Okay, well, until,
It's granted, Jeff. You should be able
okay,
to.
great, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, Mariah.
Okay, great. Okay, so can you see my screen now, Lynda?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do view. We're gonna do slideshow. Okay, so tell me how this looks.
Oh, that's
Okay.
great.
Okay, so I had to blow up their web page a little bit, but here's what we're doing. We got a 20% shared appreciation, and we're buying a place for $500,000. Okay, so we're getting 20% of the sales price, which is $100,000 from this California Dream for All program. Okay, so they gave us 100,000. Now this $500,000 place is worth 700,000. Okay. So
At the
it's
time of sale, right?
what's that?
So just to be clear, so they purchased the property for 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the time of sale, it's worth 700,000 based upon
You got it.
appreciation, whatever time frame that is in. This is just for our example. Okay.
Yep. So California Dream for All will participate in 20% of the appreciation. So it's gone up by $200,000. So they are owed $40,000 plus what they put into it originally, 100K. Okay. So they, at time of sale of 700,000, you are going to pay your title escrow fees, you're going to pay the realtor fees, and then you're going to pay off your loan, okay, whatever loan's left, and then you're going to pay off the 140 to the state. Then whatever's left is left over to you. In this scenario, technically you have $160,000 of appreciation that now is in your name. Some of it will get, expended when you sell, but 160,000. So the state gets 40, you get 160. That's not a bad way to go, right? If you look at it and go, okay, well, I didn't have to pay any interest on the $100,000 during the time I owned this place. So I owned it for 10 years. Normally, if I got a second mortgage to help me with the purchase of the house, I would have been paying 7, 8, 9% on that right now. Okay. On a second mortgage. Now I didn't have to pay any money there. And so the cost to me was $40,000 over 10 years, save $4,000 a year, $300 a month. Okay, so that's my financing cost in this situation, having partnered up with the state, which I would say is pretty reasonable expense, but not nothing, right? It could be nothing though if 5 years from now the home hasn't appreciated at all. You're not paying them any extra dollars in appreciation. There is and this really doesn't apply to, so first of all, do you have any questions to that, Lynda? Does that flow pretty?
That's
clearly?
really, really helpful.
Okay.
Because you do have to remember at the time of sale, and there's no restrictions on those, right? They can hold the property for 2 years, 10 years,
You got
30
it.
years. Okay.
Yep. There are a couple, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so two little kind of smaller print things on here when you're not looking at the numbers. You can refinance one time your first mortgage. Okay, you cannot refinance more than that before they want you to pay this off. Okay, refinancing, for those that don't own homes, don't really understand what a refinance is. Let's say you get an interest rate of 6.5% at time of purchase and rates drop to 5.5%. You're like, well, I want a 5.5% mortgage instead of a 6.5%. That's going to save me on this $4,000 a year, $300 extra a month. So I would love to refinance. So they allow you to refinance one time. If you go to refinance again, they're going to say, hey, let's say I'm the one getting the loan. Hey, Jeff, now that you're refinancing a second time, you need to pay back the $100,000 plus your current loan plus whatever appreciation is there. So it is more restrictive than if you just got a normal loan. You could refinance your loan 10 times. And I can tell you at where rates are at right now, it's very likely there might be multiple layers of refinance in the next few years for people buying today. So that isn't to be just balked at. It is something to consider when you're looking at all the factors. Okay, I'm going to pay the state a portion of my appreciation in the future. I'm not going to be able to refinance as readily as normal in the future. There's some costs to these things, okay? But the benefits might heavily outweigh the costs. The other piece to this is you're seeing at the top, borrower AMI is above 80% AMI. What that means is you're above the area median income of 80%. Okay, so this is for that example, your shared appreciation is 20%. If you're below the 80%, okay, so that's someone that's very entry level condo in Santa Barbara, maybe, but probably going to be buying in North County or Ventura. Okay, so unlikely to be South County at all. But let's say this is you don't share as much in the appreciation. Meaning, I'm sorry, the state doesn't take as much.
Right.
It said it incorrectly. So if you go down, 20% is of the sales price is what you're getting for the down payment help. In this scenario, it's a $600,000 place at time of sale, not time of purchase. Bought at 400, go up to 600. So they're going to times it by 20% again, but then they're going to only hit you for 75% of it. So they're going to ask for $30,000 of the $200,000 gain instead of $40,000. So the state is asking for a little bit less.
Because their income is less.
You got it. So
okay.
Again, the whole purpose of this program is to help those that they're trying to help those that need it most and have the least leg up in society, from their perspective. I mean,
From a
we
financial
all could
perspective.
we could all give 10 examples of where they're missing the mark, but that's their intent and that's what they're trying to do. And really, it's going to be for a state of millions upon millions of people, it's going to be around, 1,500 to 2,000 people benefiting from this program. So it's not exponential, but hopefully it's ongoing, and every next year, a couple more thousand people, that matters. Matters long term.
Well, we'll help them one by one. I'm guessing that if someone wanted to, obviously, as soon as they sell it, that triggers the repayment to the state. They can't probably transfer it to a family member, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You're correct.
So it has to be just the original homeowner that purchases it, works with the state, gets the program, and if that title or anything changes at some point in time, that triggers this.
That would be, technically. I don't know how the state's gonna follow that in Cal
Okay.
HFA, but technically that's the same with a normal mortgage. Like if you change title and kept the mortgage, the mortgage is supposed to be told about it. Does everyone do that? I could tell you many stories where people don't, but
So go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Will the state actually have a lien on each of the
Yes.
properties? Okay,
Yes.
so they can't do it much. They can't even refinance without the state knowing it.
Yeah, and that's what's called, we'd reach out at time of refinance, we'll reach out to them to ask for what's called a subordination agreement, meaning they agree when the first mortgage is paid off that they'll go back into second lien position, because how title works, the second lien falls into first position once that first is paid off. And so any new mortgage is going to want to go back, be first position. So you have to communicate with the state during a refinance.
Which brings up another question. Could somebody take out a second or a home equity line or something behind the state?
No, but what you could do is if you're like, hey, I've seen appreciation and I want to pay the state off because I'm going to own this another 10 years. And I want to get rid of that shared appreciation program at this point, right? So I'm going to take out a new line of credit. I'm going to pay interest on that line of credit. I'm going to pay them off. So my exposure to any more appreciation shared, that would be potential strategic. Or hey, it's been 5 years. We haven't had appreciation. It's been flat. I'm making more money. I have some more money, or I'm going to take out a line of credit and pay that off now because I know at some point, things are going to go up. So
great. Well,
that's a great question, Lynda.
Lots of nuances to this as we move forward.
Yeah.
Jeff, I think we've covered most everything. You've answered my questions. I hope we've covered questions that everybody else has as we move forward.
Hopefully we did a good enough job to just help people quickly sift through. Am I likely to qualify or am I likely not, or at least to fit the major buckets? And then the next question, like we'll always tell any first-time home buyer, talk to the professionals for your specific scenario to see if you actually do. And we will open up our calendars to you if that's something that you would appreciate. It's free. For a call, in person, text chain, whatever is useful to you, Zoom call, we'll make time for you. So
and really just probably the last thought to leave on is now is the time to get started, because you've got to get pre-approved prior to April in order for someone to put their name into the system, right?
You got it.
They'll be notified at the end of April, is that right? Or
okay. Yeah, that's the plan right now. So and that's usually when people are transacting at the highest in the year. So I think the timing, they've been thoughtful about that.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again. Thanks for more of your time, and always great seeing you. let's go help some first-time homebuyers.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me, Linda. And all on the call, thanks for listening in. We look forward to your questions.
Absolutely. Have a
Bye.
great day.
You too.